What is going on, YouTube universe? Welcome to the Hip and Shoulder, where we discuss everything Australian rules football. And today, with round 2 kicking off later tonight, I think it's prudent we dive in and have a look at SuperCoach once more, reflecting on my team output for round 1 before making potential moves for round 2, not just for myself, but some you might want to consider as well. I scored 2,300 on the dot, which put me in the top 13%. Now, I ran the numbers, and if I had made some critical changes, I could have quite easily been within the top 100 coaches for round 1. I am absolutely gutted that I did not make those moves, but I will still happily take 2,300. That has me placed in the top, close enough to 20,000 players out of 175,000. So we're kicking things off in style, but could have been better, and I'll show you why. This is the team that I had take to the field last week. I rolled the dice on Tuke Miller as a pod as captain. Should have very much just put it on Christian Petrarca. I had Todd Marshall and Devon Robinson on the bench versus the fact that I had Philippou and Lombard on field. What could have been? I could have easily scored 24 to 2,500 last week. Alas, I need to swallow my pride, and this is the team that I had take the field for that 2,300. Jack Sinclair, 123, averaging 133. I said it when Naz was touted to be getting midfield minutes, and I will say it again. It opens up opportunity for Jack Sinclair to absolutely get off the chain, and I am so glad that I faded Nasiah Wanganeen-Malira for Jack Sinclair. Best move I have made all season, given the fact that I have made a terrible move in the midfield, which I will talk about momentarily. Connor Rozee scored 105 in his first outing. At one point, I didn't think he was going to crack the ton, so I'll happily take the 105. Josh Dacos with a 94. He's still averaging 114, so I'm not at all concerned about Josh Dacos' output. He'll be a top 10 defender in my eyes. I am happy to keep him, even if he is relegated by the end of the season to my D6. 61 out of Josh Lindsay on debut. I expected a little bit more, but I will happily take it given its rookie numbers. Jai Sarong with a 54 after the 70-odd that he scored the week prior is a bit down, is a bit of a letdown, but he should bounce back, especially against Hawthorn this week. I think he'll be relishing the opportunity to run against his old side and play incredibly well. Lockie Jarks, 80 overall, averaging 82. He is an absolute star, this kid. I love how he goes about it, and he's going to keep scoring well for us, so happy to have him on board. Selwood, on the other hand, 38. Could he be on the out with some Bulldogs fit and firing and ready to go? I'm not sure. I definitely do not hope not, especially given that he is on the bubble this week. We then move to the midfield. Zach Butters, 94. Would have thought he would have done a hell of a lot better than that, given he ran against North Melbourne, but we'll take what we can get. He's going to bounce back. You know he's going to give a 94, but then the next week he could do 150, 160. Nick Dacos scored 126. He is averaging 121.5. And yet, when you look at the numbers for the most traded out players over the course of this weekend, he appears as one of them. And I don't understand that. I don't know whether people are just fading him this week because he's got the bye and they bring him back next week. Absolute waste of 2 trades to do that. Just hold firm. If you've got Dacos in your team, don't be an idiot. Just leave him there. Tuke Miller continues his run with always managing to fumble over the line with over 100 points in SuperCoach. I'm glad I've got him. He's still only 2% owned. He might even end up being my M8 by the end of the year, but I'm going to stick firm with him. I rolled him as a pod. I'm not going to get off him minus injury. I was flirting with the idea of potentially going Sam Walsh down to a Hayden Young and then potentially taking a Miller up to a Bont, because fading the Bont is probably the worst move I've made this year. I thought, given the role he played in round 1, he wouldn't get many CBAs. He'd get forward DPP, and then he comes out and does more CBAs last weekend, and it goes absolutely off the chain. Luke Beveridge needs to stop the shit he's doing. That's all I'm saying. Sam Walsh got me a 96. That was really rough against Richmond, given the fact that he wasn't even tagged. So 30 plus disposals, 96 SuperCoach. I'm a little bit concerned on his output, so I am kind of keeping an eye on him. If he doesn't pull his finger out, he could be one that I pull the trigger with and move up to a Bontempelli eventually. Luke Davies-Uniacke gets me 104 to kick things off. I'm happy with that pod again. He was 4% owned, I believe, heading into this round. I'm not sure if that has shifted. But he's another one I'm happy to keep. At the best, he will be a luxury upgrade at the end of the year to somebody who's scoring better. But I'm confident with how North Melbourne played last weekend that he's going to give me 100 plus every week. So I'm happy to lock him in. Tanner Brun scoring 110. The best mid-pricer that I landed. I could have gone to Parrish. I could have gone to Young. But I thought the role that Tanner Brun had was going to land big points, and boy oh boy does he look good. After sitting 12 months out, he's got a point to prove, and he's out there proving it. Sam Grill with a 73 on debut I thought was absolutely fantastic. He ran at 90% disposal efficiency, so whenever this kid has ball in hand, you can guarantee it is going to be clean disposal, so we are going to get solid numbers. We just need to see a bit of a lift in things like tackles and marks and that kind of stuff, just to pad his stats a little bit and bolster that SuperCoach score. But Grill definitely looks like a keeper. 113 from Jarga Smith. Could you ask for more? I mean, he could have gone huge given the fact that he had 16 disposals in the opening quarter last week, but we'll take what we can get. 57 from Sharp on the bench. I will take. He had something like 56 or 57% game time, so a 57 out of that isn't too bad given the scope. He just needs to be given more opportunity and more minutes. I don't know what Scott was thinking, because he had Parrish on managed minutes as well. He had other players on managed minutes. Fucking don't know what's going on at Essendon, but let's just hope Dyson keeps his spot, keeps his role, keeps on getting us some points. Carroll getting us a 59 against Melbourne. Again, expected a little bit more, but the role is there for him. I don't see anybody pushing him out currently, so he should keep scoring for us over the next few weeks. And Blameyer's getting a 70 on debut. I am happy I managed to get him in, but George Wardlaw and the likes are available for selection, so I don't know whether Blameyers is going to be the one pushed out of this lineup. Tristan Cherry getting 128 on debut. Taking on a Port Adelaide team with no ruckman is a little bit concerning to me. I don't know how he's going to score against an English, a Jackson, a Gawn, but I'm happy I started him there, because he's proven that while he might lose the ruck contest around the ground, his grunt work and what he does around the field is what's going to score his points. And while he's getting clearances, tackles, and everything in between, he's going to score 120 plus every week. Tim English, 127. I am confident he is going to be a top 4 ruckman, top 5 ruckman this year, and rolling the dice with him in the R2 slot, couldn't be happier. ZZ Top with a 62. Gets the bye this week. Harris Andrews with only 1 week away. If he comes back in, with Gardner coming back in as well, with Zach Bailey to come back in, will he keep his spot? I definitely hope so, because I like what he does more than what Sam Draper offers. Hot take. Sheasel with 134. We expected he was going to polish out big numbers. I don't know how he's not 100% owned, to be quite honest with you. Petrarca with 152. Again, the captain that could have been and should have been, but wasn't. We got 104 out of Flanders, finally cracking the ton and showing that he might actually be capable of giving us solid numbers this year. So if he can keep doing what he did last weekend, happy days. Buderick with a 73. I will take it. His role is still solid. I don't see anybody pushing Buderick out of his role. While a Selwood is kind of borderline 50-50, maybe gets moved out for somebody of a higher standard to come in, Buderick has a specific role he's playing, and I don't see anybody overtaking him there. Mateus Philippou with a 27, and as you can see on screen, he has this red question mark about him. Now, I love that they've added this here instead of just a medical check saying, oh, he's injured. This just question marks whether or not he's going to be available for selection, and I think it's absolutely fantastic that they've added that in here this year. Lombard with a 55. It is what it is. I mean, he's going to be in this main lineup unless he gets injured, so he's still going to produce points for us. It's just a matter of whether he pops off or whether we're going to get around this 55 to 60 mark off him. Todd Marshall, again, injured last week, escaped structural damage, so he could be back this week, and if he is, I will be placing him on field comfortably, because the role he played last week is going to make sure he gets 80, 90, 100 points. And Dev Robinson on debut for the Eagles. How this guy did not get a game at Brisbane, I do not understand. 12 tackles, this guy. He's just going to tackle everybody every week, and we're going to get big numbers just based off of that alone. And McAndrew on debut, 88 against Darcy Cameron. If you can pull out a big number like that, well, rookie numbers, big number, an 88 is a good number for a ruckman against somebody like Darcy Cameron. So in the flex, I think we made a really good move there. As for my moves this week, obviously we have Josh Dacos out, but I will leave the emergency on Selwood because we want to be able to have flexibility in our... well, we don't need to leave him on there. I'm going to leave him on there. We've got the coverage there. I want to be able to have a vice-captain option, so I'm going to leave at least one player on field that isn't playing. Easy to just take Nick Dacos, Sam Walsh, Uniacke off. Unfortunately, I will be left with at least one midfielder that is not playing on field because I can't cover all of them, so I'm going to put every single one that I have onto the field. We then are going to take Philippou off, and I'm going to put on Marshall, and this is rough because we've got Port Adelaide taking on Essendon. We then have West Coast taking on North Melbourne. And then we've got the Gold Coast. I think what I might do, I'll put Philippou on field. We will start, just in case he doesn't get named, subject to fitness, as you can see. If he doesn't get named, I'm actually thinking of pulling the trigger on a trade with him this week anyway, because his role isn't there. And even if he does get named, I'm not expecting big things, so I am waiting for team selection to drop later tonight to determine that. And the player that I am looking to potentially bring him in for, if that is the move to make, is somebody around the exact same price, but looks to be better positioned with his role. There's nobody really floating around as a possibility to push him out, and that is going to be Braden Cook. Mid-forward from Adelaide. He was fantastic and deserved the hype he was given over recent weeks. 21 disposals to go with a goal. He will be a popular trade-in. Gives me a mid-forward option as well, which allows a little bit of flexibility. The other one that I'm keeping an eye on this week, in the realm of making sure he just reaches what I'm hoping he reaches on the bubble, is the young kid from West Coast. Oh, he's not young. I think he's 25. Milan Murdoch is his name. Where's he at? There he is. 110. Only a midfielder. Murdoch came in for his first game and top scored for the Eagles. You don't have to get him in this week, but he must be on your watch list after his second game, which he will be. As a pure mid, I would have to do some strategical things. Now, that might mean Dirksen comes out, Grill goes to defense, we move ZZ Top to defense, McAndrew moves to the bench, and then we move Murdoch in as my flex. If he can score another 90 to 100, that would be great. His role looked good. He found plenty of the ball around the contest. He hit the scoreboard. He looks the goods, that kid. He looks like he's going to fit into this West Coast team well. And again, at West Coast, there aren't really... Well, there are injuries, but when you look at the list of injuries, you question whether all of them are going to be like A-team players. I mean, Schoenberg is out at the moment. You've got Baker, who is out at the moment. You could probably make a case for both of them to come in. Outside of that, maybe a dice roll, unless, somebody underperforms. But those are the only moves I'm contemplating this week. I'm keeping an eye on Milan because he's on the bubble. I want to see how he goes against North this week. And then next week, before his price rise, I can pull the trigger. Mateus Philippou, if he is not named this week, I am very tempted to go Cook. But again, if Philippou isn't named this week, I can afford to look at Cook against the Bulldogs, see how he scores, and then he's on the bubble next week. So I can go bang, bang, Philippou and somebody else and bring in Milan Murdoch and Braden Cook. Those will be probably my two moves. Outside of that, I'm happy elsewhere, barring injury. Todd Marshall, if he stays in, should score well. Dev Robinson will score well. Lombard, you keep around. Everybody else, I'm happy with. I mean, Dirksen is the only one that I still argue should have been selected already in Carlton's lineup. Hasn't been. beggars can't be choosers, but again, as I said, he could get traded out. I can move ZZ Top to defense, McAndrew moves to the bench, and then I bring in Milan Murdoch, and it's happy days. Bontempelli's the big one. Do I try to make a play for him after his bye to bring him in? Do we wait to see if there's a potential price drop? I don't know. Everyone else is comfortably going to be making money for me. There's no other big moves really to make. At all. Really. Nobody's immediately on my radar. I mean, outside of what we saw, Jack Watkins as a $99,000 midfielder, I don't think he keeps his spot. When Ollie Wines comes back, I think he comes in straight away and takes that spot. Blammeyers, as I said, I'm a little bit concerned that when George Wardlaw and co come in, will he get pushed out? Hussein El Akchar got a 40. Will he play every week? I don't know. With Kondo Giannis, will he play every week? Not entirely sure. I'm glad I dodged a bullet with Murray. I considered starting him and he only got the 12, so he's got to be, but he's playing a key role, so you can maybe excuse not getting his hands on it when other players were. Mitchell Edwards in the ruck, 42. Will he keep his spot though? We don't know. Josiah Delana, will he keep his spot? Phoenix Gothard, will he keep his spot? Some of these rookies are very shaky and very questionable, so we need to stick to our guns with the rookies that we have got. There's no really other like sideways or downgrades or anything of the like that we can really consider at all at this point in time. So we just need to stick firm. Gibcus with a 56 in debut is not too bad either, but again, I'm not sure whether he'll keep his role. Again, here with Rosas, he scored a 50. I don't know about him. He has gotten a 50 and then he's gotten himself a handy, 68, 78 odd. Is he worth looking at? Maybe, I don't know. It's rough. It's rough out there. The big trades potentially to look at this week as well is Errol Goulden. Obviously out for 4 months, so Errol Goulden, if you do have him, is one you're going to need to look at moving on. And with Hayden Young missing with hamstring awareness this week, the downgrade from Goulden to Young is potentially off the table. So a couple that I would suggest, obviously the big one, if you've got the money to do it, bring in Marcus Bontempelli. He does have the bye next week though, so do that at your own behest. The 3 moves, if I was an Errol Goulden owner, that I would be looking to make is I'd be looking at getting Noah Anderson, probably as my number 1 target. My secondary target would be Caleb Sarong. And then as a bit of a potential shift, if you were looking for somebody who you could bring in potentially in a flex or in the ruck, I would look at Luke Jackson. He looked incredibly good last week against Geelong, and I've put him on the table, on the radar, as potentially ending up to be my flex option if he can keep doing what he was doing. I think he looked absolutely impressive, and I can't discredit at all what he is what he put out against that mob. But again, Geelong don't have the best ruck stocks, so I'm not reading too much into it yet. I want to see how he performs against a Cherry, against an English, against a Max Gawn. So him coming up against Max Gawn this week is going to be a good test to see where he lands. Caleb Sarong coming out with the numbers that he put out, the 150 odd, did not expect that, given the fact that I thought Geelong would have clamped him a little bit. Max Holmes was a potential option I was looking at for a pod. 141. The week prior, he scored 103. So on my radar officially as well, because I want to start bringing in some people that are good points of difference. And I think Max Holmes could be one that gets us 100 odd every week. But officially on my radar that I want to get in as well, I do want to get in Noah Anderson if and when I can. Caleb Sarong as well would be my targets. So I've already started kind of penciling in and eyeballing the players that I want to bring in. Defensively, if you want to bring somebody in for Goulden, he's got the bye this week, but Houston, the role is there, and I feel could be a solid sub 500k option, save a little bit of money. Now, if you want to completely downgrade, You could roll the dice and go for Goulden all the way down to a Milan Murdoch and use all that money in your kitty to make moves elsewhere when the time comes. And that, I mean, nets you, what, close enough to maybe 500k, 450k? So to have that in the kitty could be the move. But for me this week, no trades on the table unless I really feel tantalized to get rid of Philippou. If Philippou is named, I very well might trade him out. Just out of fear that his role isn't solid enough for me. And at the very least, Dev Robinson or Todd Marshall are going to be taking his spot on field each and every week anyway. So if it's a bench option, I'm happy to bring in Cook because I think Cook keeps his role while the likes of Draper are out of this team. Vice captain and captain options this week, we can comfortably look at some certain players here. Now, having a look at Richmond versus the Gold Coast, I'm going to put my vice captain on Christian Petrarca this week. I'm not a fucking idiot. If he scores 140 plus, I will happily take that score, which is why I'm going to leave a Jaga Smith and a Dacos, so I've got that option to run that loop. Who am I going to run as my captain? Couple of options. You've got Uniacke coming up against West Coast. You've got Cherry coming up against West Coast. You've got Port Adelaide coming up against Essendon. This is where a Zach Butters could go 150. But if Cherry can score 128 against Port Adelaide, I rate Port Adelaide's ruck line, even though it's really thin, more than West Coast. So I'm actually going to take a chance on captaining Tristan Cherry this week. Rolling Petrarca into Cherry. If anything convinces me otherwise that I have to go Butters as my captain here, I might have fumbled, I don't know. But I'm going to do something a little bit different. I could always look at Harry Sheezel as a potential captain option as well. But they only gave up an extra, what, 6 points last week. So if it's 6 points, 10 points of difference, I'll be okay with that. Christian Petrarca is my vice captain. Cherry is my captain. Around the grounds, English will be taking on McAndrew, so you can look at him as an option for captain. Obviously, Bontempelli is on the table for captaincy. Butters or Rosie. Rosie, if you wanted to take a roll of the dice. Sinclair against GWS. Can he score 120 plus? I don't know. Outside of that, I think our options are very limited, unless you're running like a Sarong against Melbourne. Could be the go, and Anderson against Richmond could be the go as well, especially given that Richmond gives up a lot of points to the midfielders, which is why I'm going for Petrarca this week. But that is it. That's my team for round 1. That is the decisions I'm making for round 2. So the only pending decision is whether or not Philippou is named, and if he is, I think I am going to trade him out for Cook. I'm just worried about his role. We were promised midfield time. We were promised he was fit and firing. He's been more often than not up forward. He has struggled to get into the contest. He's not looking like what we were promised in the preseason, so I'm a little bit concerned. But maybe I stick firm. I don't know. Decisions to be made. Do hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a like down below. If you want to join the SuperCoach League I have, feel free to do so. Links are all in the description. Go and help yourselves to that. And if you want to get on board my tipping competition, also free to get on board. You can find links for that down below as well. Do hit that notification bell to stay up to date with future uploads, and hit that subscribe button to get on board the community we are building together here. But that's it from me, guys. I'm out of here. If you play SuperCoach, good luck to you this weekend. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.